Good morning. This is the pre-algebra lesson for April 1st, and it's 13.2. So hi there, Georgie and Olivia. Glad you can join me again. This is our assignment for Wednesday. So we are on page 549 in your book. Yesterday we talked about the area of rectangles and squares and parallelograms, right? And so today we're actually going to be looking at the area of triangles and trapezoids. Okay, so first let's put the area of a triangle up, and that will help us. The area of a triangle is 1/2 the base times the height. Now I want to explain this for just a second so that you see why this formula works the way that it does. If I took let's just take this little rectangle here, and I cut it in half, do you see that I've made two exact triangles? This one I'd have to kind of turn it and set it, but if I cut these out, this one would lay perfectly on top of this one, right? So a rectangle or a square makes up two triangles, okay? So each triangle takes up half of a rectangle or square. So if I have a triangle, then what I can do, if this was 3 and this was 2, then what I could do is imagine drawing a rectangle or a square. And I could say, okay, well, the area of a rectangle is the base times the height. So 3 times 2 is 6, okay? But I know that my triangle only takes up the area of half of a square or rectangle. So I'd want to take my 6 and I would want to cut it in half or divide it by 2. Okay, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. So I would say that this is 3 square units. Okay, so what is the difference between 6 divided by 2 and 1/2 of 6? And if you look, there's actually nothing different, because I would put this into fraction form. 1 times 6 is 6, and 2 times 1 is 2, and I have 6 divided by 2 and 6 divided by 2. So when we say 1/2 of the base and the height, we're just finding the rectangle that the triangle can make, and we're dividing it by 2 to find the actual area of the triangle. So I hope that gives you a good introduction into the area of a triangle. Okay, so this triangle was really easy to work with because we had this perfect height. We made a 90 degree. But what do we do with a triangle that's something like this? Okay, because if I wanted to turn this into a square, I kind of have to do this thing right here. Now, will these two pieces fit inside here? Yes. So this triangle is still half of its rectangle, but is this what we talked about yesterday? Is this a height? No, it's not a height, okay? We want to find the perpendicular line that makes the height. So we want to multiply the entire base times the height. We don't want to be tricked and use this slant as the height. Okay, so it's really important that we find the actual height of the triangle. Okay, so let's move over and let's find example. Let's look at example 1. It says, find the area of triangle X, Y, Z. And if you see the picture out to the side, they give us this triangle, X, Y, Z. Okay? Now, if you'll see what they did for us, they went ahead and said, okay, how do I make this into this imaginary rectangle? Because I have to have the height of this triangle, don't I? I can't go right here because look, it would need to come outside the triangle. That wouldn't help us. So what they've done is they've actually made their perpendicular out here. Okay? And so what is the height, the actual height of this triangle? Well, we would use that number, 27 centimeters. Okay? And then what is the actual base of the triangle? We just want from here to here because this is the actual base of the triangle, and they say that it's 24 centimeters. Okay? So now we have to think about our area of a triangle. Our area of the triangle equals 1/2 the base times the height. So let's figure this out algebraically. Area equals 1/2. I'm going to plug in my numbers, 24 times 27. Okay, now what do I do next? Well, I can say that I can do half times 24, which will have 24 divided by 2, which is 12. 12 times 27. And if you pop that in your calculator, you should get 324 centimeters squared. Make sure that you get that. Okay. Let's go ahead and move on to the area of a trapezoid, which is a little bit more complicated, but I know that you can do it. Let's look at a trapezoid and let's talk about it for a minute. The area, I'm going to do this because a trapezoid, remember, a lot of times looks like a trap. They're not always perfectly shaped like that. 1/2 of base 1 plus base 2 times the height. Okay? Base 1 and base 2. So when we have a trapezoid, we have a base 1 and we have a base 2 because we don't have two lengths of the same. When we found yesterday a parallelogram, this one was equal to this one. Okay? But now we're dealing with something that has two bases that are not the same length. Okay? And we're also going to need to know the height, which remember is the perpendicular line. So there's three things that we need to know to be able to find the area of a trapezoid. We need to find this base, and we need to find the height of the trapezoid, and then we can plug that in. Okay, so let's look at example 2. Gives us a trapezoid. Okay, so here we see that base 1 is 13 centimeters, base 2 is 18 centimeters, and the height is 8 centimeters. So we can plug this in to our formula. The area will equal 1/2 13 plus 18, base 1 and base 2, times the height, which is 8. Okay, so remember when we are multiplying, does it matter which order we go in when we multiply? It doesn't. So I'm seeing something right here that would be much easier. If I take my 8 and I multiply it times the 1/2, I really have 8 divided by 2, which is 4. So 8 times 1/2, I put it over 1, I get 8 over 2, which equals 4. So I just want to go ahead and take care of that. So I'm going to say the area of 4, and I'm going to go ahead and add, because these are in a parentheses, so they have to be added up first. 8, 9, 10, 11, so 31. So we get 4 times 31, and that should give you 124 centimeters, because that's what we used in our problem, squared, because we're finding area. Okay? And that's it, ladies. So you're going to find the area of some triangles, and you're going to find the area of some trapezoids. So go ahead and make these on a card or at the top of your notes so that you have those. And of course you can look back in your notes. So for today's math, let's do 1 through 26.